India is an amazing, massive country. It is the largest country in the world, one of the largest economies. It is one of the most builder-oriented countries, developer-oriented countries in the world. It's like second in most startups in the world. And so because of that, India has an enormous role to play in developing and building Web3, both in building systems and networks and products for people in India and for people in the rest of the world. So I would love to see how Indian people can bring the richness of the culture of India to the rest of the world through Web3 protocols and systems. And I think we'll see all of that over the next few years. And I think it's going to start happening with a lot of developers, starting with hackathons like this, and then going on to build startups and larger networks and so on. So there's two pathways. One is to join a project that already exists, and the other pathway is to start a project. So in joining a project, the easiest way to do it is to go and find companies and groups that are hiring. So go and look at all of the different job pages and so on. Especially in this point in time, people in India have like this amazing advantage where because the cost of living is lower here, you're able to get hired in a bunch of places where today maybe people are not hiring in other areas because of the macro winter. So that's a huge advantage for people in India. One great way to get started there is to start contributing to projects directly on GitHub. Find projects that you really care about, go look at their issues, start contributing, and then reach out to those folks and then potentially join the project. And then on the other side, of course, builders can build their own project and start new projects. And the best way to do that, I think, is through hackathons, because they give you this supercharged learning and experimentation program where you get started, you try and think of a product idea, you start building it, you iterate quickly, you have a deadline, so you have to finish the thing by a certain moment in time. You have to present it, and then you can then rinse and repeat and do another hackathon and another hackathon and so on, until you find one project that you really, really care about, that you want to see grow and that maybe has startup potential. And then from there you can jump into accelerators and other programs. So I wanted to enable the world to be able to create this marketplace for storage providers and storage users. Today the cloud is super centralized, and that creates a pretty brittle foundation for our applications. And so it would be great to create a publicly verifiable utility in the world that enables us to kind of use the internet with rights and in a user-protecting way, where the storage network respects our privacy and respects our requirements and our rights and whatnot. And really kind of the way that Filecoin started was to be able to incentivize the distribution of data on IPFS. So I first came up with IPFS, and then I wanted to incentivize the distribution of content using a cryptocurrency, and that's where Filecoin came in. One of the developments in Web3 that I'm most passionately following is the regenerative finance movement, and that includes things like Shelling Point and Funding the Commons and Gitcoin and Greenpill and so on. ReFi is one of the most exciting areas because it offers the opportunity to create economic structures that are regenerative, that don't sort of capture and extract value, but instead create value and compound the value and share it with a broader set of communities and stakeholders that use those systems. So I think it's one of the most exciting possibilities. I think ReFi in general is going to be one of the most important things that Web3 ever did, and it might even grow to eclipse Web3 itself in terms of how big that concept might be. So the Filecoin community is investing super deeply in India because we think it's one of the most exciting places for Web3. It is growing tremendously. There's a ton of people that want to get into Web3 or already in Web3 building great applications. And so our community has a lot of things to offer. So one, it has a much better storage platform to be able to store all of your applications and your data and so on. Two, it creates an environment for being able to run businesses like a storage provider business or a Trio provider business and so on. It's a great developer platform. So number three would be startups and use it as a developer platform to launch your applications. And then four, we're doing a ton of community-oriented initiatives, so lots of events like Phil Bangalore, and we're going to bring Filecoin to other places like Phil Delhi and Phil Mumbai and other cities as well. And we're going to start doing many more hackathons, so starting with ETH India and going to join a lot of other hackathons across the region. We think it's an amazing place with super brilliant people. The energy here is phenomenal. The whole week has been super vibrant, and it's been so cool to get to know all the builders and everything that everyone's doing. So yeah, we're looking forward to investing very deeply in the Indian ecosystem. So I don't have a very structured, strict daily regimen. I'm very kind of intuitive and kind of go with the flow in a sense. I have a set of structured kind of meetings that, because I have meetings with other people, those are kind of frozen in time, but around that I kind of like sleep and wake up at like random hours, which is not great, really bad for you. Don't do that. Be better than I am. And I tend to try and learn a lot, especially in the morning. I really like kind of opening up YouTube or Wikipedia or things like that and just kind of like learn things. I'm a super curious person and I get a lot of enjoyment and energy out of learning things. And so then I kind of like do some of that while I'm waking up, and then I kind of jump into doing some work like meetings and whatnot. And I usually try to kind of split my meeting time into either maker time or manager schedule. And so, because usually kind of if you have meetings with a lot of people and you're doing kind of managerial type work, it usually tends to destroy creativity and destroy kind of the focused thinking time. So I try to split those two into different regions. I tend to have a set of like regular scheduled meetings with all the teams that I'm helping manage and work with. And then I have a lot of office hours. So I have these like tiny slots, like 5 to 15-minute office hour slots with a lot of people in the community that, where people are able to book time with me to ask me questions or show me things for feedback or tell me about something and teach me something. Or get me to do something and so on. So I spend a chunk of my time doing that. And then I spend a large amount of unstructured time thinking about the future, thinking about different technologies that we're going to build or products and so on. And then kind of later in terms of, for fun and so on, I really like going to nature. So I love exploring different parts of nature. So I love going outside, taking walks, hiking, various different adventures like that. I love learning, love hanging out with people, going out to eat with people and so on. The cryptoeconomics is an enormously powerful primitive and it gives you this huge lever to change the world. So by creating good incentive structures and by making them publicly verifiable, you can move mountains. So you can really tremendously change the world by creating the right cryptoeconomic structures. So remember that. Yeah, the advice I would give for folks in the space looking to become founders is to first off learn a lot about startups in general and how they get created, and kind of think about a structure for that. I just gave a talk going into detailing the journey of builders going from early stages and kind of learning a lot about the world, going into an experimentation phase with hackathons and kind of testing out lots of different products, to then potentially trying to, once they pick an idea that they want to build in the longer term, then kind of how to validate that idea and how to develop it further, then how to get into accelerator programs, and from there how to raise funding from VC and other groups. And so definitely check that talk out and give you kind of a framework for how to explore the space. But the kind of most important thing is that you're going to have to become super learners, which means you're going to have to become extremely good at learning anything and everything. So you're going to face tons of challenges that you will know nothing about, and that you can't let that daunt you. You have to be like, oh, what is this? What is incorporating a company in this country? I have no idea how that works. Let's figure it out. Let's search online how to do it. Or hey, how do you do good design? What does good design look like? How can I start making some very early good design? Even if you're not a designer originally, you have to kind of potentially have to learn a lot about it, either to make do with some early designs that you might have to make, or to work with designers to be able to understand their craft and understand how to work with them and so on. So you are going to have to learn anything and everything, and you're going to have to get extremely good at being able to learn online and so on.